What up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Shinobi Squad Podcast. I'm fan service Renji.
I'm Shana Mostella.
Halloween month continues.
Yes.
Never call it October again. From this year on, it's called Halloween month.
Yep.
If it's like the 10th, it's Halloween the 10th. Not the 10th of October.
The 10th of Halloween.
You pass this on for generations. All right, guys. As we said last week, we are going to continue with the spooky Halloween themes. We still got more stories to tell, so we're going to continue with the ghost stories. Y'all seem to like that a lot. Got a lot of good feedback. So let's get right into it. We'll throw it to Shana first.
Yes. All right, y'all. So this story takes place at Renji's brother's house. He had 2 kids living there and his wife. It was a really beautiful house, very spacious. He had like a whole upstairs, full garage, and a full basement.
Yeah, the basement had a bedroom, a living room, and an office space.
All I needed was a kitchen because it had a bathroom down there too.
Yeah.
It was very spacious. It was one year. I believe it was around maybe Thanksgiving time, and we wanted to be around some family during that time.
Yeah, we were living in Chicago at the time.
Yeah.
So we went to Michigan, and we stayed at my brother's house.
We went over there. Super normal. I didn't think anything scary. I wasn't even in that mindset. We decided to sleep in the basement, private. Renji's brother didn't go down to the basement for some reason. Like, he just wouldn't go down there. Remember that being odd? And I'm just like, why doesn't he come down to the basement? Because growing up in a house myself, I loved being in the basement for some reason. Like, that was like one of the biggest like things that I like to do in my family home where I grew up.
This one wasn't creepy at all. It was finished.
Yeah, it was
a fully furnished basement with carpet and lighting. And
the bathroom was cute. They made it look like a little beach kind of theme and everything. This is a whole like second part of your house. Why wouldn't you want to go down there? Fast forward to when we slept over that first night. I had a cold when I was out there. I was going through something like vicious. I had like sinus pressure and everything. One thing that I made sure to do was take some medicine so I could sleep through the night. I'm sleeping, and then in the middle of the night, I get woken up by it felt like a child's hand had just whacked me in the middle of my back. I remember that basement being super cold too. Now that I think about it, this basement was just bitter cold.
But it was November, so the heat was on.
Yeah, that's true too. So I just remember it being already cold down there because I was like wrapped up in the blanket that we had down there. But then I was woken up by some like cold hand, and it felt like a little kid's hand. I say that because it was very small, but I felt it smack dab in the middle of my back. And that woke me up out of my deep Mucinex cold medicine sleep. That shit will put me to sleep for like years if I want it. And I woke up thinking like, was that one of the kids upstairs? The kids also never came down to the basement either. I remember waking up in the dead of night and thinking that it was one of the kids. And I looked around, and there was nobody there. Nobody. The basement was very spacious, but you could see if somebody like ran and hid somewhere because we had closed the door to that bedroom. I would have heard someone run out and close the door back because there was nobody in that room. Being in that room, there wasn't really anything in there that they could hide behind real quick or anything like that.
Yeah, there's no way that we wouldn't have known.
Way.
Shana was sleeping on my niece's bed, and I was sleeping on the floor. This was like a child-sized bed, so it barely fit one person. And I was sleeping on the floor. If the door had opened, it would have hit me.
I forgot to mention that this used to be one of the kids' bedroom down in the basement, like when they first got the house.
Very important fact. For some reason, my niece stopped sleeping in her bedroom downstairs.
So it was a fully furnished bedroom down there. So I'm like, that also struck me as odd. I'm like, Why wouldn't you sleep down here? Like, it was cozy to me. Like, it was freezing, but it still felt like, somebody should be down here and enjoy their space and privacy,
Let's recall the facts. My niece has a fully furnished bedroom down there. She's not sleeping in that bedroom. My brother has another room that's his workout room. He's got a nice weight set and all that stuff. He stopped going down there to even work out.
Wow.
So now this basement is unused. We'll get into that.
So I wake up, I look around, there's nobody there. That's when my heart just sank. There could be no way that someone was just in here because you would have heard, or at least I would have seen it because I was right next to the door. The room wasn't that big. So like you would have seen someone go in or out at that time, or at least heard it. I got up to use the bathroom since I was already awake, and I'm like just looking around, like trying to find like somebody hiding behind a couch or something. And there was nothing down there. I'm just like, okay, what the hell was that? So then I go to use the bathroom, And it just felt like something was watching me all the way to the bathroom. I went in there, I closed the door, I locked it, and made sure that there was nothing in there. I looked behind the shower curtain and everything. I was really scared at that point. I used the bathroom real quick, opened the door slowly, looked out both ways, and like ran back to the bedroom and closed the door. That was scary. I've never had something touch me before.
Yeah.
That's what really scared me. I've seen things, I've heard things, but I've never had someone physically touch me. And it felt cold. And what was the most scary part was that it felt like a small, tiny child's hand.
Yeah.
I felt the fingers in my bag. It was crazy. It just went bam, really hard. Hard enough to wake me up out of a deep, dead sleep.
I just got chills just
That
going
was
back to that moment. I remember that. The next day, you even asked me, hey, did you tap on my back for anything in the middle of the night? I was like, no, I was knocked out. You're like, oh, okay. Well, it couldn't have been you. And automatically, I started freaking out. I was like, wait, what do you mean? And then Shana explained to me the story, and she was very specific. She was like, yeah, I felt like a child's hand touched me, and it was a cold child's hand. For her to feel even a colder hand on top of the cold room.
Yeah, it was ice cold.
And then we didn't really dig into it too much. I just kind of asked my brother, I was like, hey, so what's up with the basement? And all he told us was, yeah, we don't go down there anymore. And that was it.
Oh, shit.
He just kind of left it at that.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, where does my niece sleep? Oh, she has another bedroom up here. Like we said, very suspect. Brother and niece refused to go downstairs. I just figured, well, the house is spacious. They don't need it. Later that day, I go talk to my brother once again. I ask him, hey, what's up with the basement? Nothing. We just don't go down there. Okay. So y'all have a furnished basement. Your weight room is down there. You have an office down there. My niece has a bedroom down there. But y'all just don't go down there just because y'all don't like going down there. Yeah, we spend more time up here. My daughter has a second bedroom up here, so she stays up here. She wants to be closer to the family. Okay.
Weird.
He just refused to really say what was going on. We're like, you know what? Whatever. We're only here for the weekend. We'll just ignore what happened. Fast forward to later that year. Having a family cookout. This time, only I came from Chicago. We were at my other brother's house. Everyone just sitting around talking about scary stories for some reason. My oldest brother likes telling scary stories all times a year. He has a lot of messed up history in his life, so he's always experiencing supernatural stuff. My other brother steps up to share his story. This is the brothers whose house we stayed at. He starts telling this story. My niece is on the swing set about 20 feet away from us. She's close enough to hear the story. Brother number 2 starts talking. Hey guys, some weird stuff has been happening in the house. It all started last fall. My daughter would come running out of her bedroom in the basement, screaming her head off. We didn't know why. Every night for like 2 weeks straight, she'd wake up, start screaming, run up the stairs, come in our room. Finally, she started talking. She would wake us up. Daddy, 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 the grudge, the grudge, the grudge. We're sitting there sleeping. Like, what do you mean the grudge? Finally, they figured out she was referring to The Grudge, the horror movie.
Okay.
She saw something similar to the thing she saw on The Grudge. My brother's like, she hadn't watched that movie in years. The first time she watched it, she wasn't even scared of it. It was weird for them to see her scared of a movie that she watched 2 years ago that she wasn't scared of in the first place. Finally, my brother and his wife moved her out of the basement and put her in the spare bedroom upstairs. She was quiet for a couple days. Then she was back at it, running in the room in the middle of the night. Daddy, 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 monster, monster. Finally, he would wake up, do the daddy thing, go look in the closet, under the bed, try to tell her everything was okay. He thought that worked. Then the next week, she would just appear in his room, just kind of standing over his bed. He would wake up and see her, like, holy crap, what are you doing here? She stopped screaming, but she would walk into the room in the middle of the night, and she would hover next to his bed but she wasn't awake.
Oh, hell no.
He would wake up and her eyes would be closed and she would just be standing right next to his bed.
Wow.
They started asking her, do you remember walking to Daddy's room last night? No, I was sleeping the whole time. I don't see the grudge
Hell
anymore.
no.
You don't? No, I sleep fine. She wasn't sleeping fine because she was sleepwalking to their room.
Oh, wow.
This shit just intensified.
Mm-hmm.
She walks over again. He wakes up, but this time she's kind of like pointing.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. He decides to talk to her. Hey, honey, is everything okay? And she just kind of like, her hand starts moving like she's trying to point.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes her and walks her back to the room. They get to their room, and then she's kind of just staring around. Like she's looking up towards the ceiling, and he's freaking out. This has never happened.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is she looking at? Usually he just walks her and puts her back in bed. But this time she was like telling him something. Of course, he doesn't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
Puts her to bed. Now he's scared. Now he's telling my mom. My mom's just laughing at him like, haha, your house is haunted.
Oh, my God.
Remember in last week's podcast? My parents never shied away from the supernatural stuff. They never told us that it wasn't real.
Mm-hmm.
My mom's sitting here laughing her ass off.
Mm-hmm.
Haha, you got a new house and now it's haunted already. A couple nights go by. He's laying in bed. His wife rolls next to him. He puts his arm around her, gives her a little kiss. Next thing he knows, he feels some commotion on the other side of the bed. He looks over. His wife is on the other side of him. He looks back the other way. He's thinking in his mind, if my wife's over here, who's on my left arm? He turns around and looks. The thing that was on his arm starts dipping back into the blanket. He sees this bulge moving down to the end of the bed. He is freaking out because his wife is on his other side now. He looks back. Okay, that's really her. Then he looks back towards the left. This thing is slowly creeping back out. And then it emerges from the back of the bed. He described it as this humanoid shadowy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's sinking to the ground and he sees it forming as it's standing up and looking at him. He's just screaming his head off. His wife doesn't hear him.
Damn.
He's just sitting there freaking out, and this thing is like forming taller and taller and taller and taller to where now it's like 6 foot tall.
Oh, jeez.
While that's happening, he hears his daughter screaming. She's running down the hallway now. She barges in the door. Daddy, 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 monster!
Oh, Jesus Christ.
She barges in the room, and right when that happened, she flicked on the light,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing that he was looking at shoots up to the corner of the ceiling, and now it's up in the corner like Spider-Man shit, just hanging on.
Oh, wow.
It's looking down at him while he's trying to console his daughter. His daughter's crying, and he's trying to hold his daughter. Daddy, I saw it again. I saw the thing. I saw the thing.
Oh, jeez.
And then she's describing what she saw, and he's looking at what she's describing.
Oh.
And he was just so terrified because she didn't see it in the corner.
Oh.
She had her back turned to it.
Uh-huh.
And he's trying to hold her. It's okay, baby. It's okay. While he's looking over her shoulder and he's up in the corner.
That's some horror movie shit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so fast forward to the present while he's telling this story. Remember, we're at the cookout. My niece isn't too far away. She's just swinging on the swing by herself like a crazy kid. The grudge is real. The grudge is real. The grudge is real.
Oh, fuck.
My brother's wife comes. Honey, don't tell the story in front of her. What? She can't hear. Look at your daughter.
Oh, wow.
We all look over and she's just rocking on the swing. She's not even swinging anymore. She's just rocking back and forth. The grudge is real. The grudge is real.
Oh.
And you could see the terror in her face.
Oh, no.
Then my brother and his wife are like, no, baby, The Grudge is just a movie. Remember you watched it and it scared you? She looks at all of us dead in the eye. It's not just a movie. It's real.
Oh,
it's in my
no.
house. The Grudge is real. It's in my house.
Oh, hell no.
Also, side note about my niece, she's super smart. She's like intelligent.
Oh, yeah.
the smartest kid in the family.
Oh, yeah.
She's like straight A's. So she knows the difference between what's real and what's not. She's very logical.
You try to play a practical joke on her. She's just like, I know it's just you.
Yeah.
You know?
She doesn't get scared like that.
Nah, she's always been like the smarty goody two shoes, like little smart ass girl.
In her heart, whatever she saw was real enough to her.
Man.
This was months later, too, when Shana had stayed there, when the whole grudge incident took place. That was back in September. This cookout was like July. A long time had passed, and it was still so real to her. So we'll take it back to Shana's story. It makes so much sense now.
Right.
There was something going on down there that my niece saw first. That's why she left the room.
Yeah.
My brother must have felt it enough to where it scared him to go down there. I'm sure after this thing followed my niece upstairs, that solidified it that the family never went downstairs. Anyways, my brother pleaded with my mom one last time. She finally took it serious. Okay, so you're tired of a ghost haunting you and your kid. All right. I guess I'll go talk to some of the monks and they can come bless the house and drive the evil spirit out.
Wow. Your mom's just not having it. She's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, she doesn't care.
Wow.
The house finally gets blessed and everything. My brother still doesn't go downstairs after that.
We were over there like a handful of times after that. I went down there maybe one time after that just to get something or see something or whatever. And I hightailed it back up those stairs again.
I went over there a few times after on my own when I would make trips back to Michigan to see my family. The few times I did spend the night there, it still felt weird.
You went back down there and you slept down there?
Yeah, because there was times where we would have family events and my other brother...
Hell no.
would come from Seattle. He would stay at my mom's house. So then I needed to stay at my brother's house because I didn't have anywhere to stay. I would stay there. Years later, they still never went down there. They pretty much abandoned that basement.
Damn.
I kind of have a sneaky suspicion that the monks just kind of trapped it down there.
Oh.
He was like, every time we go down there to do laundry, it still feels eerie.
Yeah.
So nobody goes down there. I'm looking at all the spiritual seals that the monks put around the house. They're all on the upper level only.
Oh, no.
I felt that my brother thought the seals only worked on this level and the downstairs level was a whole nother space.
Maybe they just knew that whatever was there couldn't be removed.
Yeah.
So they just put it in the place where they don't go anyways, you know?
Yep.
Oh, hell no.
So, chills.
That's even worse.
Oh. So yeah, years later, the rest of the family never went down there and they ended up selling that house.
Good.
They got out of the house.
Ugh.
It just never felt right after that.
Yeah, that one and only other time I went down there, it felt eerie. Like there was something still there. It wasn't going anywhere. And I just left it right where it was and just forgot about it.
And it's messed up that my brother and his family experienced all this and still let us sleep down there.
Exactly. They're probably talking in the bedroom like, hey, how long you think it's going to take for them to see something? Bullshit. That's some straight up bullshit. But I wonder why I felt a child's hand, though. That's maybe like there's something else down there.
Yeah.
Because if this thing grew to be 6 foot tall, I'm sure it doesn't have tiny hands. Or maybe, maybe it's some freakazoid looking humanoid thing.
Or there's multiple things going on.
The monks just left them all down there and said, toodaloo. Oh, hell no.
Oh, if your mom don't care, we don't care.
Your mom just made fun of the whole thing like, oh, hey, you guys suck. You have ghosts now. So, have you ever had or experienced sleep paralysis before?
I have not. 2 of my brothers have.
Well, sleep paralysis, for those of you who don't know, the scientific explanation is your mind wakes up before your body does. Your brain's always working and everything. It's pretty much like when your body is still sleeping, but you can still open your eyes and look around, but you just can't move yet because your body's still like in REM. It's still like sleeping and everything. But the paranormal part of that, a lot of people who have had sleep paralysis say they wake up, they can't move, but then they feel something either pressing on their chest and it feels like they can't breathe at times, or they see something like a old hag or some like old like humanoid thing sitting on their chest. That's why they can't move or breathe, or that's why their like chest feels like there's pressure on it. A lot of people also will see like shadow people, like these shadow things in their room or wherever they're sleeping when they have this sleep paralysis, and or they see like ghosts, or they just see things that are like out of the norm. Scientifically, they always say like, oh, it's because your mind is still in a dream state and that's why you see things, or that's why you think you see things or whatever. But a lot of people have had the same accounted stories. They always either see shadow people, an old hat sitting on their chest, or now I've been hearing they see like this guy with a fedora, like a hat, like a fedora hat, or in a trench coat, and that's what they see when they have sleep paralysis. My experience with sleep paralysis, I used to get it anytime I was in some kind of like haunted house or anywhere I've ever experienced something in. I've always had sleep paralysis. The house that I grew up in, I talked a lot about that in the other previous episode, and the apartment that I had all those ghostly experiences down the street from my family home. I always had sleep paralysis in those two places, but I also had it off and on in different other places that were supposedly haunted or that I had experiences in. But every time, I never saw anything. It always felt like I couldn't breathe, like something was like holding me or like, on my chest or something like that. But the one thing that I would always do as a kid, no matter what, I would train myself to sleep on my stomach, and my face was always in my pillows. And I always had a ton of pillows, and any bed that I slept in, I always had to have a lot of pillows. And I always had the covers either on my face or over my entire head. I lived in the Midwest, so of course it was like always cold, and I was always like had something on my face or around my head or whatever just to keep warm. But every time I had sleep paralysis, thank goodness, the reason why I never saw anything while I had it was because I was always covered or I was always sleeping on my face. And I think subconsciously I knew like to do that so I wouldn't see anything. So I always had it and I always felt weird about it. Luckily, I never saw anything, and that's why.
But you would still have it?
I would still have it. But my face, luckily, like I said, my face would always be either covered or the blankets would always be over my head, so I would never see anything.
I've never experienced it.
But one thing I do remember, it was one time in my the house that I grew up in. I was having sleep paralysis, and this time, this is the one and only time I've ever was like face up. I was laying on my back. I woke up, couldn't move. My whole body was stiff. I could not move, but I could not breathe either. I woke up out of a dream like I couldn't breathe, but then I woke up feeling like someone had just lifted their hands off of my throat. I felt pressure around my throat, not my chest. And that was weird because I felt fingers. I felt fingers just like they were lifting up off my neck as I was like having sleep paralysis. But I didn't see anything though. But that was the one and only time I was like face up when I was having it. It was creepy, man. So scientifically explain that. Okay.
Scientifically, that thing that touched you on your back grew up and had longer fingers.
Oh no! This happened before. I was a kid, but that's some messed up shit.
It traveled back in time. I got your ass.
He couldn't get me with his little hand.
Take my strong hand. Anyways, scary movie too. I've never experienced sleep paralysis. I've only heard about it through my brothers. Every time they spoke about it, it was always a terrifying incident. Mm-hmm. My youngest brother had it the worst. We were living in this rented mobile home in a trailer park. We had rented it from a family that we knew, just one of my brother's friends from high school. It was probably within the first year we were living there. The family would wake up in the morning and find my youngest brother sleeping on the couch. Mm-hmm. We started wondering, why are you out on the couch instead of your bedroom? Week after week, we'd see him on the couch. Dude, why are you on the couch? Mm-hmm. He finally started opening up to us. Okay, so here's the thing. I'll be sleeping, and at 3:33 in the morning, I feel my body locking up, and then I'll wake up, and I'll feel paralyzed. Mm-hmm. I can't move, and then my eyes are wide open, and then I see this lady floating above me, and I see her holding me down.
Oh, what?
I'll be stuck there for what seems like 30 minutes to an hour. She's just staring at me. She doesn't say anything. She just stares at me. I can't move. I hear myself screaming, but I don't think anyone else can hear me. Every other sound is muted except for my own voice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hear the fan blowing. I don't hear anything.
Oh.
Every few nights, this happens to me. As soon as she lets go, that's when I wake up and I run outside to the living room.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting you to tell me that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, have you told Mom? Yeah, I told Mom, but she just laughed at me.
Again. Your infamous mom just laughing at people being haunted.
Yep. So then a couple days go by. It's the weekend. I'm chilling in my room, just playing video games late night. I hear him running out of his room. Is everything okay? It just happened again. I told you. What do you want to do about it? Okay, the next few nights, you stay up. You sit and you listen. You listen if you can hear me scream. Mm-hmm. Then if you hear me scream, come running in the room. Mm-hmm. He believed that we just didn't hear him.
Right.
Okay, cool. We set it up. It's me, my girlfriend at the time. We're ready. He's got his bedroom door open. Mm-hmm. We got timers set to when it's close to the time, just so we're ready and prepared. Mm-hmm. I'm just sitting there, probably 5 feet from his room, just sitting in a chair, reading a magazine. My mom comes home. What are you guys doing? Little brother said to sit outside his room and wait. My damn mom. Oh, yeah. He's being haunted by a ghost.
Wow.
He'll be okay. He's being such a baby. He needs to start sleeping in his room, though, because sleeping out on the couch isn't going to change anything. And then she just goes to her bedroom.
Just casually. Like, nah, it's not going to help anything. Okay, then what will, since you're such an expert? Please help. Please tell me.
She just blew him off. So we're sitting there, 1 a.m, 2 a.m, 3 a.m. We're getting tired now. We've lost track of time. Mm-hmm. 1 a.m, 2 a.m, 3 a.m. hits. We're getting tired. 3:20. We look at the clock one last time. Okay, in the next 13 minutes, we're sitting here not being distracted. We put down the magazines. Mm-hmm. We're just sitting there kind of like talking quietly amongst ourselves. We didn't hear anything. Next thing we know, my little brother runs out of the bedroom, sweating bullets. Did you guys hear it? Did you guys hear it?
Oh,
Did you guys hear
shit.
it? We looked at the clock. 3:34. We missed it by a minute.
Oh, shit.
I was screaming for like an hour. Look at the time. It's only 3:34. What do you mean it's only 3:34?
Oh, shit.
Dude, only a minute has passed. We've been out here the whole time. He was so pissed. He thought we weren't there. Uh-huh. But my girlfriend was like, dude, we've been right here, sitting just outside your door. It happened. And then he described it. In that moment, I felt how scared he was. Because you could see it.
Right.
You could see the terror in his eyes. You could see him sweating bullets.
Shit.
My mom came out the bedroom. Happened again, didn't it?
Asshole.
So my girlfriend and I do some investigating. We go talk to our friend whose parents own that house because he previously used to live there too. We ask him, did you ever feel any weirdness in this house? He was like, you mean the ghost that's in the second bedroom?
Oh.
Mind you, we had never talked to him about anything supernatural before.
Right.
It just rolled off his tongue so easily. The bedroom that's right by the driveway, right?
And he didn't say anything prior?
No, he didn't. He goes, I used to have like sleep paralysis all the time, and I used to see this old lady holding me down.
Where was this?
Where was this in the rental brochure?
Oh my God.
He didn't say a damn thing. Then he told us his experiences exactly just like my brother's. He was like, why do you think we moved? His family moved and they still live in the same mobile home park just a couple streets over. Why do you think we moved out of that mobile home to live in this mobile home?
For those of y'all just listening to this podcast, I'm shaking my damn head right now. I'm like, where was this in the pamphlet? You couldn't email me about it. You couldn't tell me before I moved here. What?
Then he gave us some more information. He's like, have you ever looked at the ceiling and noticed slight paint blotches? Yeah. I used to lay in bed with my paintball gun,
Oh.
trying to shoot this lady as soon as I broke free of my sleep paralysis.
Oh my God. So he went to sleep just like this with a gun.
Yeah, he laid
Oh
in
my
bed with a
God.
paintball gun. I went back to my brother's room. We looked at the ceiling, and sure enough, paintball splotches that seemed to have been scraped off, but not all the way. So you could see little hints of paint.
Oh my God. Apparently he didn't get her because
No.
she's still coming around. You don't get a paintball. See, according to Supernatural and the Winchester brothers, you grab the salt. Get the salt. Oh. Wow.
Yeah, so needless to say, our family eventually moved out. Once again, my mom finally took it seriously. She got some monks to come bless the house while she laughed about the whole time. But then we moved out like a year later.
I want to hear your mom's ghost stories because apparently she's just a G and just doesn't care. Nothing can haunt her, apparently.
She's used to it.
Damn.
The few ghost stories she's told me, she's never been scared of them. She's told me, like, telling me a story about how she saw a friend at the grocery store. Oh, yeah, so I saw a ghost on Tuesday. It was trying to kill me, but, he was just being a ghost.
You know ghosts, right? Ghosts these days.
You know
am
how
I right?
ghosts are.
Jesus.
But, yeah, that brother got sleep paralysis. My oldest brother, the one that's super messed up, he had a lot of sleep paralysis, but...
He's got a booklet of stories.
He's got a whole season of Twilight Zone worth of stories to tell. I really want to get him on the podcast one day, but he's very old school gangster. He don't want to be in pictures. He don't want to be in videos.
Well, maybe he's a ghost too.
He could be. Maybe the camera won't pick him up. Oh, that's scary.
Oh, just stop. Just stop. And I don't want him bringing ghosts in this house. Not until we move, and then he can come and tell whatever ghost story he wants.
Yeah. So what else you got for us?
Well, I have something terrifying. My very first actual sighting of something that I actually saw, like an actual figure. This was in that apartment that I told you guys about in the previous episode, the one that was kind of next door to the house where I grew up at. This is the house where I saw a lot of things happen and just weird, eerie stuff would go on all the time. I was in my room. So if I'm sitting here, my bed was facing this way. The door was right in front of my bed. I could see outside of the door from my bed. I'm just, sleeping. I'm dead asleep. And I remember waking up for some reason. And my mom, she's very, social. She's used to always, I shouldn't say used to, she still talks to all of her friends all the time, even to this day. But she was very social. She was always on the phone talking to her friends, or she had people over. But this night she didn't have anyone over, but I knew that I had heard her on the phone talking to somebody. She was in her room, which was the room in front of mine. So she was a couple doors down from me. I'm in bed. I'm dead asleep. I wake up and I hear my mom talking on the phone. I'm like, okay, whatever. Maybe she laughed loud or something woke me up that she did or whatever. But as I'm laying in bed, I'm on my back. And I'm looking outside my door, and I see my mom walking past the door. And at the time, I didn't really put two and two together because I can hear my mom talking, but I see her walking past my door not saying anything. She's got her glasses, got her hairstyle, was even wearing one of her nightgowns. I remember she used to wear this teal nightgown that had Garfield on it. It had some Latin written on it, and it was wearing that. This thing that I saw pass by my door was wearing her nightgown. But then as I'm looking at her, walking past my door, I look down at her knees. I can hear the steps. I can hear, someone's walking on, hardwood floor because that's what we had on the outside. And as I'm looking down, she's wearing this long nightgown up until about her knees. I see her knees, but nothing else. It's just this thing walking past my door. I'm getting goosebumps right now. I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt, guys. I'm getting goosebumps right now, even thinking about it.
And it's hot as hell in this apartment right now.
It's really hot.
It's another heat wave.
We don't have AC in this building, so. But I'm hearing this thing walk past. I see it. No legs at all. But I still hear the footsteps. But then I didn't get scared. I didn't really get scared until I could hear my mom. It reminded me, I could hear my mom talking in the room in front of my room as I'm seeing this thing with no legs walk past my room. And I'm like, oh, I just got out of bed. And I waited until the thing passed my door. I was frozen. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then I got up out of my bed and just sprinted down the hallway to my mom's room. I could see her on the phone, and my mom was wearing something completely different than this thing was wearing. My mom was wearing like black or something like that. She's on the phone, like talking, like, yeah. She's like, hold on a minute. My daughter just ran in here for some reason. And I'm like, Mom, I just seen you walk that way, but you're sitting here talking on the phone. You went that way, but you're here. Like, she was just like, wait, calm down. What did you see? I saw you walk past my door with no legs, Mom. Where'd your legs go? And then she's just looking at me like, I'm gonna have to call you back, Susie. It just hangs up the phone. And then I don't remember what happened after that, but I just remember being terrified, and my mom believed me. Thank goodness she believed me. Anything that I ever told her about, any paranormal experience I've ever had, my mom always believed me. Always. No matter how young or old I was, she believed me, and that saved my life because she was seeing me and my cousin running back and forth in the living room when we were dead asleep in my room. Of course, she's experiencing things in this house, and I kind of want to ask her what else has she seen in that apartment, because a lot of things went down in this apartment, and I still to this day do not know what happened, what was there, what was causing all this commotion,
Yeah.
But that was the first time I've ever seen an apparition. Yeah. And it was an almost full body apparition. Ugh. Almost. Until the legs, I couldn't see the legs. The rest past the knee, I could not see that. And I never saw it again, thank goodness. But years later, when I started to learn more about paranormal things, like beyond just ghosts or demons or anything like that, I learned about doppelgangers. And a doppelganger is something that looks like you, may act like you, maybe wear the same clothes as you or whatever. This thing, according to legend, is supposed to replace you. So if you guys have ever seen the movie Us, it's basically a tale of the living versus doppelgangers. And these doppelgangers in the movie, they were living in their own like little area or little world, whatever. At some point, those doppelgangers will come up to like the living world and try to replace their lookalike. The legend goes, if you personally see your own doppelganger, you're supposed to die because only one of you can exist at the same time. I don't know if you've ever had experience with doppelgangers yourself, but it wasn't until I learned more about it where I'm like, this thing was in my apartment.
Yeah.
If it walked past my door, my mom's room was in front of mine. So if it walked past her door to get to mine, I don't know what would have happened that night. Like, I don't know if that was like specifically what that was, like what I saw, because ghosts can mimic you, demons can mimic you if they want. When I thought about like doppelganger scenarios, I'm just like, that thing was supposed to kill my mom.
Yeah, it got that close.
Oh
God, I'm getting chills.
It was in my house.
Thinking about that stuff.
And that made it more terrifying because I don't know what would have happened that night. I don't know what was supposed to go down that night. Yeah. I don't know why this thing was in my house. I don't know how it got to us like that. Never seen it again. Never seen anything like that again. I'm so glad.
I didn't even know what the definition of a doppelganger was. It wasn't until you told me this story years ago about your mom's doppelganger. I was like, what the hell's a doppelganger? Mm-hmm. I thought it was just some like roaring 20s term. Like, yeah, I'm a doppelganger, see? I just thought it was some like roaring 20s, like mobster, old-timey shit. Then when you broke it down, you're like, no, a doppelganger is like your evil twin.
Basically.
That started scaring me. Back during a certain time of my life where you couldn't mistake me for anyone else. I lived in a small town. My hair was blonde and spiky. I looked like Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. People used to see me all the time when I was not in town. People used to always tell me and have full conversations with me about things we talked about when they supposedly saw me. Example, I'd run into one of my friends at the grocery store. Hey, man, what's up? How was that trip you took? What trip are you talking about? We were at Dave's party, and you told me you took a trip to Colorado.
What?
I've never been to Colorado. Oh, man, quit playing. I kept having these moments where people would tell me that they saw me. They would bring up whole-ass conversations we had. There was no mistaking me for anyone else in the town.
Right.
Yet it happened. During this time of my life, I was touring with my hip-hop group. We were out of town almost every weekend. So when someone would tell me they saw me this weekend over here, I could pull up pictures on my social media. No, I was in Detroit. No, I was in Chicago. No, I was in Indiana. I was not in West Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really think anything of it. I started cosplaying. People used to message me saying, it was so awesome meeting you at Kansas City Comic Con. It was so awesome meeting you at Denver Comic Con. I never said anything, but I knew I'd never been to those cities.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never been to those events. Yet these people would tell me whole ass recollections about what we did, what I was wearing.
Mm-hmm.
It started scaring me.
Right.
This went as far as up until even 4 years ago. Someone messaged me, it was great meeting you at Anime Week in Atlanta. This girl broke down that she met me 3 times that weekend.
What?
In detail. Oh, you were wearing this cosplay on Friday, then I talked to you again on Saturday, and you had your camera, and you were saying...
Oh, what?
Yeah, it was very specific that whoever she talked to not only cosplayed, because I cosplay, was shooting cosplay videos. I shoot cosplay videos.
Mm-hmm.
And this girl had been a fan of mine for years. There's no way that in her mind it wasn't me.
Mm-hmm.
She'd been following my YouTube, so she knows what I look like. She follows my Instagram. That's why she messaged me saying, it was so great to finally meet you. But this girl's story was in full detail. Like, she really talked to someone that she thought was me.
Hate to break it to you, but that wasn't me.
I let her tell her story. Mm-hmm. Then I hit her with I've never been to any cons in Atlanta. And she's like, wait, what? I saw you that whole weekend. You said you wanted to collab with me and we could work something out.
I know that's a lie because you don't collab with nobody.
Yeah, I don't really collab with a lot of people, especially people I just met. She's like, well, either I saw your doppelganger or someone pretending to be you. Mm-hmm. She's like, I wish it was someone pretending to be you, but that person was you.
Oh, shit.
She's like, as I said, I've been following you for years. I know what cosplays you have. I know what you do. There's no way that I would have mistaken anyone else for you. And if I did, if someone was pretending to be you, they really had to have studied you. Mm-hmm. Everything they said to me, the way they spoke was you. Mm-hmm. That scared me because I was like, nope, I haven't even been to that state in years.
Right.
Bring it back to you telling me about doppelgangers. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what these things were.
Right.
I just know in the last 10 years of my life, there's been a lot of sightings of me in different states, in different situations. After you told me that story, it started scaring me because I kind of made a chart of when I was sighted and where I really was at the time. It felt like this doppelganger was following me around the country.
Oh, shit.
For those that know me, I've moved across the country. Mm-hmm. I've moved from Michigan to Florida, back to Michigan, back to Florida, back to Michigan, to Chicago, to California. Mm-hmm. And I've been to cons across the country. And just the timeline of things, these doppelganger sightings were only a month or 2 behind me. Mm-mm. Once I learned what a doppelganger was, that shit scared me. It really got in my head. Something is really following me. And as you explained, the doppelganger is trying to replace you. Mm-hmm. So it's, oh God, I'm just getting chills in my cheeks right now. Something was really following me where I was going. It was just slightly behind. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you told me about doppelgangers, but I'm also mad at you about that.
Well, you need to be up on your paranormal stuff because you never know. You never know when these things are going to happen, and you never think it's going to happen to you.
Yeah, there's a lot of paranormal things I'm not afraid of, like vampires and werewolves and shit like that.
Those are all like myths, and they're cool for the moment, but it's like,
but they're like easily like stoppable. Like a vampire can be killed. You just gotta like turn on the lights or stab it with a silver fork or eat garlic pizza.
That's werewolf.
But just, but vampires only operate during the nighttime. Like there's easy things to avoid a vampire. Like a werewolf, honestly, you can just lock your door. Mm-hmm. Can't come inside. A vampire, it's still a physical being. It can't get inside. Zombies, like, we watch enough Walking Dead to see how easily it is to avoid zombies. But a doppelganger? We haven't seen a TV series about doppelgangers, so we don't know what to do about them yet.
Those are in a special category I like to call paranormal subcategories or ghostly subcategories because they're still like they're not real, but they're still real enough to where they can replace you. If you've ever seen the movie Insidious, it's about this kid that was basically like able to lift out of his body when he was dreaming, when he was sleeping, and fly around the world as his like spiritual self, but his body was anchored on earth. His body was still here. It was basically like astral projection or lucid dreaming, where if you leave your body for too long when you're dreaming or doing those like lucid dreaming things, you can look it up on YouTube. There's a whole rabbit hole full of that kind of thing. So if you're curious, look at that more. When you're dreaming, you leave your body, your physical body, and then other things in like the dream world or like ghostly beings or whatever could potentially take over your body when your spirit has left it. That's what I feel like these things are, because they're trying to get to you somehow. Even though you're not like spiritually, like your body's still here or whatever. There's some like supernatural law to where one has to be canceled out for the other to exist. So you can't both exist in the same plane as long as you are aware of that thing and it's in front of you. It could potentially take you if it wants to. So those are what I call like subcategories, where it's still like a ghostly being, but it could like replace you if the opportunity ever arose. People would always say to me, like, they've had full-on conversations with someone who looked like me. They've seen me going down so-and-so street. They see me in passing at the store or whatever, and they even said hello to me, and I said hello back. But I was just used to think, like, okay, people think that all light-skinned people look alike, you know? They always have some, like, similarities that they can compare to me all the time. They always say things like, oh, my cousin looks like you or my friend looks like you. But it's only because we're all light-skinned. It doesn't mean that we look like each other. So I'm just thinking that. I had that in the back of my head all the time for years until I started talking to you about it, and you kind of made me a believer because I didn't really think of it like that. Because I'm just used to people saying that to me all the time, and I never think anything of it. But until you started saying that people were specific about what they heard about you, what you said to them, and stuff like that, to where I'm thinking back now, I'm like, okay, all the times that people said they saw me, was it for real, or were they just thinking I looked like some other light-skinned girl, It really made me think about it. Like, am I out there too? I had one person tell me something specific about myself that only I would do or only say, and that scared me. I'm just like, wait, no, you didn't, because I wasn't there. I was not there. You know me. I'm an introvert. I never leave my house. So I couldn't have been there. I couldn't. So it's scary to think about those things.
We've told a lot of stories about things that happened earlier on in our life. Let's give you guys some current stuff that happened. I actually had an experience at a con, YomaCon, out of all cons, the con that happens during Halloween weekend. 2 episodes ago, I talked about the costume contest I went to and got all those monsters. That same weekend, I had some like weird shit happen in the hotel room at Yoma. We were finally ready for bed that night. I let my 2 friends each have one bed. I slept on the floor on the air mattress. At some point in the night, I woke up with the chills. Like, I was freezing my ass off. I was just shivering. I was like, why is it so cold? This is Halloween weekend leading into November. We had the heat cranked up. I wake up. I look at my 2 friends. They're wrapped up in their blanket, all nice and cozy. And yet I'm freezing. I get up, check the thermostat. It says 75. I get back into bed, fall back asleep for like maybe half an hour, and I wake up again with chills. I wake up and I talk to my friends. How'd you guys sleep? Oh, we slept fine. It was nice and warm. Must be nice. Why? I was freezing my ass off. They was like, really? They were like, we thought the heat was kind of high. We were about to turn it down. That just made me think. And I got scared. I was like, so you guys were both hot? And they're like, yeah, we almost took the blanket off while I was freezing. And then I told my boy, what I felt. This dude, ooh, you slept with a ghost. Some ghost followed you into bed, and it sounds like I'm joking, but I'm not. You stay over there tomorrow night. Don't even come next to us.
Right.
Maybe you need to sleep in the car.
Wow.
I still wonder, why did I feel those super cold chills that night? I'm a person that doesn't like when it's hot in the hotel room. For me to be bothered that it's cold just kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Right.
Anyways, that's just a quick story. I don't know what it was. I never really looked into it much more than that, but I just know that those two assholes were nice and toasty and I was freezing my ass off.
Well, speaking of hotels, I got some hotel scary shit to talk about. So, we were in New Orleans last year for my birthday. We had a grand old time. I wanted to go out there and be spooked and just, live it up. New Orleans is always depicted like it's haunted. Everywhere in New Orleans is haunted. Everywhere in Louisiana is haunted. So I wanted to experience that. Little did I know I would actually experience some spooky shit. We get to the hotel. It's right there in the heart of the city of New Orleans. It's like maybe a couple blocks away from the French Quarter. You can walk there. No problem. We were there. It was the last night that we were sleeping over. We were going to fly out the next morning. This was coming off of, we had gone on this haunted tour. I was feeling good. I didn't feel like anything followed me or anything like that. I didn't, when we got to the room, we fell asleep. Everything was good. I woke up in the middle of the night and I kept hearing what sounded like a rocking chair, like a creaking rocking chair, like all night long. The hotel we were staying at didn't have rocking chairs. There's no rocking. Like, what hotel do you know of that has rocking chairs?
Yeah.
Unless you're staying in the Southwest or whatever, down in the old saloon days.
You're staying in someone's bed and breakfast, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
But not a Marriott on the main strip next to the French Quarter in New Orleans.
Kept sounding like a chair was creaking or something, but it was consistent. It was like something wasn't. Why I didn't think it was maybe like the floorboards creaking, because it sounded like something was rocking back and forth really consistently. So I woke up because of that, because it was odd. There's no room in this hotel that has that or any kind of creaking noise. It's the air conditioning would have made a noise, but it wouldn't be consistent. It wasn't consistent at all. But this noise woke me up out of a deep, deep sleep. I woke up and I kind of glanced around the room and I didn't see anything. So I went back to sleep and then I heard it again. This constant creaking sound. And then I just felt like something was watching me. I felt like the room was full of people. It didn't, it just felt like it went from 0 to 100 because nothing happened. I didn't feel anything the entire duration we were staying there. We were there for maybe 5 days?
Yeah.
Did not feel a single thing, did not hear a single thing, didn't see a single thing. This night, however, but like I said, we had just got back from a haunted tour, so maybe something along those lines followed us back. Because we went to it was a French Quarter haunted tour thing where they take us around the French Quarter. More on that story later. I felt like an audience was in this one bedroom little hotel room.
I didn't know all that.
It felt like there was something going on. It felt like there was a whole ancestry family tree in this one little room. I only glanced around once. I'm I'm gonna look around one time. If I don't see nothing, I'm gonna go back to sleep and pretend like I don't see nothing. I don't hear nothing. At this point in my life, I was already too experienced and done with all that shit. So I'm nah, man. If I don't see nothing this time, I'm not gonna wake up again and look around a second time. Didn't see anything, went back to sleep, and the whole rest of the night, I didn't really get much sleep that night because it just felt like something was in there.
Yeah.
Just waiting for me to look. It was like something was telling me to look.
Yeah.
They were daring me to. Go ahead, lift your head up. Lift your head up again. Nah. But I kept hearing that creaking sound all night long. It would not stop. And it just felt like at some point my heart started racing. I felt like I had so much anxiety at this time. Needless to say, I did not sleep very well.
Once again, I'm just getting chills just thinking about that.
And you slept fine. Apparently, you were just...
I didn't sleep fine.
It looked like you did because I was just up, paranoid. My heart was racing. I just felt like the world was going to end.
You didn't tell me all that. I heard the same thing. I heard the rocking chair. I heard it as well. All the other nights, we didn't hear anything.
It was quiet.
We didn't hear anything of the sort.
Mm-hmm.
Just the AC blowing. That was it. It was off-peak season of the year. The hotel wasn't even busy.
Nah.
The rooms next to us, nobody in there.
There's nobody in that entire hotel.
Yeah, it seemed like the entire hotel was pretty much empty besides like a handful of people. That final night, I heard the rocking chair throughout the night. I try to pass it up. Like, oh, whatever. It's just noise. Then at some point, I woke up and I thought about it. The hotel room wasn't that big. There was a queen-size bed, like a single-person couch kind of chair. We also had like an office chair.
It wasn't like a rolling chair either. It was just a stationary
Yeah, it was a stationary office chair. Yet we're hearing this rocking chair, like rocking on wood, creaking.
Yeah.
The floors didn't creak. It was none of that.
And we had carpet, too.
And we had carpet on top of that. There was no way that this chair could have made this rocking chair on wood sound.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say anything until we were going home.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Shana, did you hear like a rocking chair last night? And she's like, yeah, I did too. And that's when it got scary because we both heard it.
But you probably didn't look around, did you?
Oh, hell no. I didn't look around.
See, that's probably why I felt like there was something like watching me because it saw me see it, you know?
Yeah. As soon as my brain put two and two together, I wasn't going to look. I didn't want to see what potentially was making that noise.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you felt that I was sound asleep. No, I was just not trying to see what was going on. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, I shouldn't have looked.
Once you accept that thing is there, it's there.
Mm-hmm.
So I just played it off and just dealt with the rocking chair for the rest of the night until I fell back asleep.
It was something in that room. I just felt like there was a choir of people just there.
Yeah, see, I didn't know all that. Like, this is the first time you're telling me about this.
I didn't want to scare you because
that makes it even scarier.
Well, because when I tell scary stories, I want people to hear about what I've seen or what I felt, because as soon as you say you just felt like something was off, of course the skeptic's gonna come out of the woodwork and be like, oh yeah, well everybody feels something.
Oh yeah, it was just a pickle next door.
It was just the wind, or how they always like to say, oh, it's just a house settling. Bitch, this is a hotel. I'm sure the hotel is settled enough. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even that old of an hotel. It was brand new. So how much settling do you want it to do? Mm-hmm. You know? So.
Yeah. I think we have reached a good stopping point for this episode. Mm-hmm. We just briefly touched New Orleans, but there's a lot more to talk about, a lot more we experienced. So maybe we'll talk about that in next week's episode. Mm-hmm. Hope you guys have enjoyed some of these scary stories. Jesus, there's just so much more to talk about. So with that said, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Shinobi Squad Podcast. Hope you guys are enjoying your Halloween month. We definitely are.
Yes.
Lots of great movies coming out on Netflix and all the streaming sites. So make sure y'all take advantage of that. One last quick note before we go. Make sure y'all follow Shana's brand new OnlyFans. It's free to subscribe. She's posting a lot of stuff that's not on her other social medias. Trust me, y'all won't be disappointed. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Fanservice Renji.
I'm Shana Mostella.
We'll see you guys next week.